This is a historic view of the Tallapoosa River before the dam, all the way from the proposed dam site at Crooked Creek, following all down the river to Malone, which is the first bridge below the dam, where Tommy and Jimmy Traylor live. Farther downstream, about another 7 miles, is Albert Island's Heflin Family Camp, which was founded in the 1930s. And down to Wadley, all of this way, all the way to Horseshoe Bend Military Park. And all along this river is populated on both sides by people who live here, continue to live here, and remember the river before the dam.
Well, I grew up not right here in Wadley. I grew up 3 miles from right here. And we farmed right next to the Tallapoosa River, right on the banks of the Tallapoosa River.
I grew up just down the river a little bit from Bob down here. He was 3 miles up the river, and I was 3 miles down the river, down in the little place, well, it's between Wadley and Frog Eye down there.
When I was a child, we visited Wadley. Both sets of my grandparents lived here. Something that always stuck with me as a child, those were in the days when everyone wrote letters back and forth. And in every letter that my grandmothers wrote, I remember they would mention something about the river. The river's up this week, the river's down, nobody can fish. And so that was a common theme in their correspondence with us. So that made a real impression on me as a child. And now I can't cross the river bridge without looking to see if the river's up. It's just a point of conversation, it's a point of reference for all of us. We just gravitate toward how the river's running.
I have a lot of memories because my dad took me, we went fishing, we went swimming. He taught me about nature. He taught me about the river. He taught me how to respect it. I used to walk up this creek fishing when I was 6 and 7 years old by myself and just catch a lot of fish. And those days they're gone.
I didn't hear anybody talk about real concerns about building the dam. In fact, I think most folks were proud of it.
Oh, yeah. People had anticipated that dam for 50 years because, you know, it had been rumored it was going to build a dam on the river.
On the river somewhere.
And so, everybody was just...
Yeah, everybody pretty well enthused about the idea of building a dam on the river.
When they were getting ready to implement this in the 70s, probably mid-70s, because we were promised over and over and over, we are going to be able to control flooding. So naturally, I was all for that. I have not seen that happen.
At the time, we saw it as a great economic opportunity for people. People made fortunes building homes, selling property around the lake. It was just a great event. Everybody thought that, and it still provides a service. I mean, we all use electricity. However, we've now come to realize that it affects the spawning of fish, it affects recreation, and, you know, as it always is, it takes a little time to realize what the downside of something may be.
I mean, Harris started generating in 1983, and it has a license that expires towards the end of 2023. And so the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, that grants the license to utilities to operate hydropower projects, there's a relicensing process that starts 5 years before the license expires. So beginning in 2018, roughly, there's a long process of meetings, of studies that occur along the river, time for stakeholder comments. It's really a once in a generation or once in 2 generation opportunity to make some changes to how the dam is operated. and you've been involved in many of these meetings, but it's a long, arduous process to make sure that people who are impacted by the dam have their voices heard and recognized and responded to.
Come here, Macy. What you looking at, Dad?
Taking a look at this petition that we got together, hoping to lower the lake level. That didn't go over too good.
Alabama Power Company's management objectives. Achieve a comprehensive solution that addresses both upstream and downstream concerns such as lake level fluctuations, flood control, navigation flows, fish and wildlife resources, water quality, water supply, recreation, hydroelectric generation. Has any of this come true?
Not that I know of.
There's a lot of mistrust between Alabama Power, frankly, and the landowners. So one of the first recreation surveys that the power company put out got practically zero response. And there was a person from Mississippi State who came and took surveys of river use, very skewed, not enough data. So in response, the power company, along with our group, helped construct a questionnaire that was mailed to 225 landowners in that 44-mile stretch. What I thought was remarkable is that they had close to 100 responses, which to me indicates the depth, in spite of the frustration over the decades, the depth of commitment that landowners have to their river and its well-being.
This river does play a big part in my life. It's been in my family since 1935. My mother's father bought it from the state of Alabama, and then my mother and daddy bought it from my granddaddy in 1963. And at that time I was 13 years old and always came to the river and used to fish a lot of baskets, fish baskets, catching those yellow cats and blue cats and all. And they were fine eating, and have fish fries down here at the river and stuff like that. But the yellow cats are gone. Back when I was young, and even on up to the dam time in '83, bullfrogs, they were all up and down this river. But after the dam was built and they started backing water, to the fact that the water is up, down every day, the bullfrogs, you hardly ever hear one.
One of the things that I've been studying over the years is the impact of temperature from Harris Dam. Because of where they release the water at the dam, the river is cooled down during generation events. And this impacts many things related to fish, such as survival, hatching success, and even growth rates. In 1951, Homer Swingle conducted a rote-known survey here at Horseshoe Bend on the Tallapoosa River. And in that survey, he collected data on the fish community. And he reported that the community was comprised almost entirely of minnows and catfishes. Today, the fish communities in the Tallapoosa River below Harris Dam are very different from what they were in 1951 and are more comprised of black basses and sunfishes.
Well, taking care of the river is important to our industry as far as fly fishing, because it's another way we're bringing in tourism to this part of the state, and the more fish and the better quality fish we have, the more people are going to want to come and fish here. From the relicensing project, I'd like to see better access as far as boat ramps and just ways that people, the public, can get to the water to put their boats in, to enjoy the river that we have, and it not just be a dirt slide under a bridge.
One way the dam influences my life, and nobody's going to want to hear this, but it keeps me busy coming down here trying to overcome a flood. and you would be hard pressed to find a landowner below the dam that is tickled about that dam. There's a tree right there it's probably about 8 inches in diameter, and the big flood of 2003, it got around that tree. But the water, that was the highest ever recorded. In the record, it's showing 37.6 or 37.5 feet at Wadley Bridge. The water at Wadley went over the top. The river went over the top of the bridge at Wadley.
Growing up, I never saw trees falling and dying like I see, ever. The only time you saw a tree come down was in a massive flood, and now, look around. They were beautiful. I mean, you look at the banks, you know, there's death up until the point of the high mark from generation. It killed off all the grasses. But, you know, this was all rocks, and now it's all mud. I want to show you what the creek looked like before the dam. So we have to get probably another quarter of a mile up the creek to get away from the effects of the generation from Lake Harris Dam, and you'll start to see a difference. And as soon as you get to a point where the water doesn't affect the creek anymore, it's beautiful. The way it looks up the creek is the way it looked all the way to the river. And also the way the riverbank looked before the dam. And when you start to get into an area that's not affected by generation from Harris Dam, you'll start to see what the river looked like as well as the creek. They've opened one turbine on the Harris Dam, and the creek floods, they generate, and so everything washes down to the point of where there's zero current from the backflow of the river, and then you get trash buildup, and that's where all the sediment comes from. You see how quick this was ankle deep, 15 minutes, and we're up above our knees.
River's rising! Come out, the river's coming up! Let's go!
What's happening?
The river's coming up.
What's that?
The river's coming up. Come here. We're trying to get those people out of the river.
I'm gonna watch it come out.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. We got to get them out of the river.
Now, when the water is released, it comes downstream so rapidly that if you're not aware of that, you're not aware that it can come downstream so rapidly, you can be caught out in the river in a dangerous current.
You know, I want my child to be here to explore and have fun and not be afraid that, you know, he's going to get swept away, that he's going to have to get rescued, that he's going to have to, you know, or worse, something worse could happen. And so, you know, even yesterday, a cousin had to go across the river when the river came up without warning, and not on the schedule that we were told about, to go and get a couple other little girls. Yes, they were in life vests, but they still needed help to get back across, and that's terrifying. And we want to be able to be out here and have fun and enjoy the water. So for our children, for the next generation and beyond, it's such a beautiful river, and it's clean, which is rare. You can actually see the bottom. Today he got to see fishes. He said, "Look, Mommy, look at the fishies." So we want to keep it.
I said that. That's what I said.
It sure is.
Welcome to the Alabama Power Reservoir Information System. We are pleased to provide you information and hope you will safely enjoy the many benefits of our lakes. Please be aware that the generation schedule and subsequent water releases from the dams are subject to change without notice. Please understand that you alone are responsible for your safety on the lakes and rivers. generation schedules, and shoreline permitting for the Tallapoosa River, press 1. For Harris Dam, press 1. For lake levels, press 1. For generation schedule, press 2. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please try again later.
The way forward is to negotiate a non-adversarial solution so that the stakeholders can hold different positions and have different interests, but not one at the expense of the other. I think it's totally worth everyone's effort to put in time to arrive at equitable solutions to complex problems where stakeholders, the stakes are high, and I feel like the people below the dam have spent 40 years without having their interest represented at all.
I know, thanks to some of the efforts of our leadership group, the Randolph County Sheriff put in some comments talking about how hard it can be even to get access to the river to do rescue missions. So in terms of safety and recreation access, I think those are some changes that are definitely things that we can accomplish. I'm happy to answer any questions about the process, to show you how to get your comments filed, to hear your stories about the river and what it means to you. So I'm going to open it up for questions now.
What exactly are they calling flood control? Because I think we have two very different definitions. A month ago, I lost half my goat herd because it poured rain for a week. Everybody knew it was going to flood, everybody. And they left that water low up until in the middle of the night. And I'd already turned my goats out so they could get up the hill. And I'm wading out there in the dark, waist deep, trying to save my goats. All right, and the next morning, half of them are drowned.
I would like for Alabama Power to take a more proactive approach to the impacts that they're having downstream. I realize there are great economic benefits in the dam, the houses on the lake, but there are also generations of people who have lived and relied on the river who hate to see it just become a place to dump the water when it gets too high on Lake Wedowee. We have a rich history down the river of having had Native American sites, and you can still find arrowheads in places here. So I hate to see those places just literally wash away.
I'm not sure how the relicensing program is going to change my life. Life's going to go on if the world stands, and if I live, I'll go on. But I would hope that in this relicensing process, it would get some attention to Alabama Power to where they could do better. If they could just get down here and look at stuff on the river, what they're doing downstream. You know, there's more to this world and to this county than above the concrete. But let's have some concern about what it's doing to the landowners downstream and what we have to put up with. I know this has pulled a lot of tax money into Randolph County, but still, these people downstream, landowners on into about several counties down through here. We're taxpayers too. We're human beings too.
I'd love for them to consider the restoration of the river, to repair and rebuild what's been lost. Children are children. They want to explore whether it's a lake or whether it's a river, but there's so much more to the river. And we want our children to be safe. We want them to explore and enjoy the wildlife. We want them to see fish.
The ability for a father to take their kids to a place like this and get them out from behind a computer, out from behind Xbox, get them away from the bad influences in life that take them in the wrong direction. That's why I turned out the way I did. It was this.